The mockery begins. The galaxy was full of life, with countless species scattered across planets and systems, each with its own power and pride. But in all that vastness, Earth's presence had been small. For centuries, humans had remained mostly isolated, keeping their affairs to themselves. That is, until their fleet appeared on the outer edge of galactic space. It wasn't a massive fleet, certainly not compared to the likes of the Zaran Empire or the Vaxari Dominion, whose warships dominated the stars. The fleet that Earth sent out seemed like an afterthought, a small old collection of ships that looked like they belonged in a museum rather than a battlefield. It was an embarrassment to the eyes of the galaxy's most advanced species. As the fleet entered view, the leaders of the Galactic Council were quick to laugh. "What is this?" one of the alien generals asked, shaking his head in disbelief. "A joke." The ships, once belonging to an ancient Earth civilization, had seen better days. Many were centuries old, built long before humanity had mastered space travel. But there they were, floating in space, a testament to Earth's past. To the aliens, it was clear. These ships were nothing more than relics. They would be easy targets, a simple task to destroy. On the bridge of the flagship, the Endurance, Captain Jackson stood, watching the alien fleet on the screen. He knew the odds were against them. The aliens were well prepared, their ships sleek and equipped with cutting-edge technology. Earth's fleet was vastly outmatched. But Captain Jackson wasn't worried. He had a sense that the aliens had underestimated them, and that might be their downfall. He turned to his officers. "Hold steady," he commanded. "We won't make it easy for them." The alien commanders were already preparing for battle. Their ships began to move into formation, ready to obliterate Earth's fleet. The first volley of energy blasts hit, lighting up the dark void of space. The old ships rattled under the impact, but they did not explode. The aliens laughed again, certain that it would be over quickly. "Did you really think these ancient ships could stop us?" one of the alien commanders sneered. But they had no idea what they were dealing with. On the surface of Earth, the people were unaware of the growing threat. Life continued as usual. The news did not mention the fleet's departure, nor did it speak of the first skirmishes that had already begun. It was only when the first wave of alien attacks hit Earth's neighboring systems that panic began to spread. The Galactic Council, with their massive fleets, were making their move. Yet, despite all the chaos, there was still something the aliens didn't know. There was a reason Earth's fleet was still fighting. Despite the ridicule, despite the mocking laughs of the galactic leaders, Captain Jackson and his crew knew something vital. Earth's fleet was not just built on ancient technology. There was more hidden beneath the surface, something the aliens hadn't anticipated. Back on the bridge, the battle raged. The old ships were holding their own, their weapons firing in return. The aliens could not break through the human defenses as easily as they thought. The Endurance fired a beam straight into one of the alien warships, sending it spiraling out of control. The humans cheered. But their victory was fleeting. The alien fleet regrouped, and soon another wave of firepower was directed toward the human ships. Captain Jackson's face was stern as he watched the screen. "They'll keep coming," he muttered to himself. "But they don't understand us. They don't understand Earth." The aliens' laughter had started to fade as they realized that the human ships were more resilient than they had thought. The first signs of doubt crept into their minds. One of the alien commanders contacted the Galactic Council. "Something is wrong," he reported. "These humans are not as weak as we believed." "Continue the attack," came the cold reply from the council leader. "We will show them their place." But as the aliens fired their weapons again, something strange happened. One of Earth's ships, the Resolute, powered up a weapon that had been dormant for decades. It wasn't part of their old tech. This was something new, something unexpected. A beam of light shot out from the Resolute's bow, striking one of the alien ships. The alien ship exploded in a blinding flash of light, sending shockwaves throughout the battlefield. The aliens fell silent, their confidence shaken. The humans had a weapon they didn't know about. The fleet wasn't just a group of old ships. It was a well-guarded secret, one that could change the entire course of the war. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, panic started to spread. The human fleet had already taken down one of their strongest ships. The once laughable Earth fleet was starting to look dangerous. What just happened? One of the alien council members asked, his voice full of disbelief. How did they do that? The others stared at the screens in stunned silence. They had underestimated Earth. They had mocked its fleet, assuming it was nothing more than a relic. But the humans had hidden their true strength. Back on the battlefield, Captain Jackson smiled. "It's just getting started," he muttered. He knew they couldn't win the war just yet, but they had sent a message. Earth's fleet wasn't a joke anymore. The aliens had underestimated them, and now they would learn the price of that mistake. But this was just the beginning. The human fleet was ready to show the galaxy that Earth wasn't just a backwater planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The battle was far from over, and the aliens would soon understand just who they were up against. The battle had been intense, the first clash between Earth's fleet and the alien forces, leaving both sides stunned. The alien commanders were furious, their pride wounded. They had underestimated Earth, laughed at its fleet, and yet now they were forced to acknowledge that the humans had hidden power in their ancient ships, power that shouldn't have been possible. But that was only the beginning. As Earth's fleet regrouped, the humans were focused. Captain Jackson stood on the bridge of the Endurance, watching as the fleet slowly maneuvered into position. They were preparing for what would come next. The aliens had been surprised, but now the humans needed to make sure that surprise wasn't wasted. Jackson turned to his crew. "They're regrouping. We'll need to stay one step ahead. Let's get the next phase ready. Prepare the weapons systems." "Captain," one of his officers spoke up, "the aliens are going to come back stronger. We need to be ready for a full assault, if they bring in reinforcements." "I know," Jackson interrupted, "but we have something they don't. Our ability to adapt, our will to survive. Don't forget that." It wasn't just the strength of their ships that would carry them through this fight. It was their determination. The aliens had thought they were up against a weak, outdated fleet. They hadn't seen what humanity was truly capable of. Earth had always been underestimated. And now, that same arrogance would come back to haunt the galaxy. Across the stars, the alien fleet began to reorganize. The council members were furious, their anger radiating across the comm channels. How could they have been so foolish? How could they have believed that Earth, a planet they considered primitive and weak, could stand against their might? "Gather more ships," one of the council leaders commanded. "We need reinforcements. Now." "They have ancient weapons, but how did they fire that beam?" Another council member asked, his voice full of disbelief. "Their fleet is supposed to be old technology. This is impossible." "It seems the humans have more than just relics on their ships," another replied, their voice filled with concern. "We must prepare for their full strength. We cannot afford to underestimate them again." As the alien forces scrambled to get their reinforcements, they couldn't shake the unsettling thought. What else did the humans have hidden in their fleet? How many more secrets were waiting to be revealed? And what kind of threat could humanity pose once they realized the true extent of their power? Back on Earth's flagship, the Endurance, the crew was preparing for the worst. Captain Jackson knew that the aliens would be coming back with everything they had. But Earth had been fighting for survival for too long. This wasn't just a battle for victory. It was a fight for their future, a fight for their very existence. "Captain," said Lieutenant Ramirez, his voice sharp and steady, "the aliens are reassembling their forces. They're about to launch another attack." Jackson nodded, his face grim. "We can't let them hit us first. We need to strike before they regroup completely. Get all ships into attack formation. If they think we're vulnerable, they'll come at us harder. We need to show them that we're not afraid." The Endurance's systems powered up, And soon, the fleet was moving into position, ready to face the approaching alien fleet head-on. But as they readied their weapons, a new eerie silence fell over the bridge. It was the calm before the storm, the moment before everything changed. Thousands of miles away, in the heart of the alien fleet, the new reinforcements arrived. A wave of advanced ships, sleek and terrifying, lined up behind the initial forces. The aliens were confident. They had the advantage now. Earth's fleet was old, and its weapons had already been used. The aliens were certain that with their full might, the humans would crumble. But something felt different. Even as the aliens moved into position, preparing their first strike, they couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the humans weren't done yet. They hadn't shown everything they had. Captain Jackson stood at the helm of the Endurance, watching the enemy fleet approach. The first wave of alien ships moved toward them, their sleek designs cutting through the stars like a blade. But Jackson had a feeling deep in his gut. The aliens had no idea what was coming. "Prepare the hidden weapons," Jackson ordered. A low hum filled the ship as hidden systems powered up. The Endurance, like the rest of Earth's fleet, wasn't just a relic. It was a carefully crafted trap. The ships had been designed with the intention of deceiving their enemies. The aliens thought they were fighting a battle against outdated technology. But Earth's fleet was far from defenseless. The moment was approaching. Jackson gripped the control panel tightly, waiting for the right moment to strike. The alien fleet had no idea what was about to happen. The first attack came, as predicted, from the aliens' most powerful ships. Their energy weapons lit up space, streaking toward Earth's ships with terrifying speed. The Endurance shuddered under the impact, but it held firm. Then, without warning, the hidden weapons aboard Earth's ships activated. Beams of energy shot out from unexpected places, tearing into the alien vessels with unmatched power. The aliens, caught off guard, struggled to react in time. Their ships began to falter, their once perfect formations crumbling under the weight of humanity's surprise attack. "Now," Jackson shouted. The humans fired in unison, their ships unleashing torrents of firepower. The aliens scrambled to adjust, but it was too late. Their ships were destroyed in a matter of moments, shattered by the might of Earth's hidden weapons. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before. The humans, once thought weak and outdated, had turned the tide of battle in their favor with a hidden strength no one had anticipated. The aliens were left reeling, their superiority shattered. They had no idea how many more surprises humanity had in store. The war had only just begun. The explosion of the alien ships reverberated through the vastness of space. Captain Jackson stood at the helm of the Endurance, his eyes locked onto the visual feeds of the battlefield. The once pristine alien fleet was now in chaos. Earth's hidden weapons had turned the tide in their favor, but the battle was far from over. "Captain," Lieutenant Ramirez called out, her voice tight with urgency. "We've caused some damage, but the aliens are regrouping. They're about to launch a counterattack. We need to act fast." Jackson didn't hesitate. He had seen this before. This was how Earth had always fought. Outnumbered, underestimated, but never giving up. The galaxy thought they could crush humanity with ease, but Earth's fleet wasn't done yet. "Get our ships into formation," Jackson ordered. "We can't let them recover. They're going to come at us harder this time. We need to stay ahead of them. All units, ready your weapons." The Endurance's massive cannons hummed as they powered up, preparing for the next wave. Jackson's mind raced. The aliens had been shocked by Earth's initial retaliation, but this was no time to rest. Every second counted. As the human fleet reorganized, the aliens were already preparing their revenge. The commanding officers of the alien forces were furious, their ships now full of rage and determination. They had been humiliated, and the galaxy's most advanced fleet would not tolerate such an insult. Across the alien command ships, the mood was tense. The council members shouted at each other, furious that their military might had been so easily shattered. Their own fleet was a fraction of what it had been just hours earlier, and the humans' sudden surge in power had them rattled. They'd got more up their sleeves. One of the alien generals growled. "We need to find their weakness. If we don't, we'll be the ones destroyed." "Agreed," another replied. "The humans don't have the firepower to withstand a full-scale attack. We'll just have to overwhelm them." But as the alien forces prepared their retaliation, they couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to humanity's fleet than they had seen so far. The humans had only revealed a fraction of their capabilities. The thought sent a shiver through the alien leaders' spines. Back on Earth's fleet, Jackson was fully aware that the worst was yet to come. The battle so far had been just a preview of what was coming next. The aliens had no idea of the depth of humanity's resolve. Earth's fleet had been built with one purpose: to protect the people of Earth, no matter the cost. Jackson turned to his crew, his face set in stone. "This isn't over. The aliens will come back stronger, but so will we. We'll push them back, no matter how many ships they throw at us." "Captain," Ramirez said, "we've got more surprises in store, right?" "Absolutely," Jackson replied with a grim smile. "This is only the beginning. We've got something they'll never see coming." The alien ships, now reinvigorated with reinforcements, advanced in perfect synchronization. Their sleek, deadly forms cut through the darkness of space like knives. They knew they had to break the humans' defense, and quickly. They couldn't afford to waste time or resources. The longer this battle dragged on, the more they risked revealing their own weaknesses. The Endurance and the rest of Earth's fleet stood in their path, ready to unleash their full power once again. But this time, things were different. The humans were not just defending. They were prepared to strike first. The alien ships fired their weapons in unison, sending streams of energy toward Earth's fleet. But just as before, the humans didn't wait to be hit. Their ships moved swiftly, dodging incoming fire with precision. The battle was becoming a deadly dance between the two forces, each side determined to gain the upper hand. But what the aliens didn't know was that Earth's ships had evolved. Their tactics had evolved. Captain Jackson and his crew had been through countless battles, always finding ways to outsmart their enemies. They had learned from every encounter, and now they were ready to face the alien forces with everything they had. "Ready the counterattack," Jackson barked. Without hesitation, the crew responded. The Endurance fired a volley of missiles, which tore through the alien ranks with deadly accuracy. The explosion sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet, forcing some ships to fall back. But the aliens were relentless. They fired back even harder this time, hoping to break through Earth's defense. But humanity's resolve was unyielding. The Endurance dodged the blasts, and the other ships followed suit. It was clear now. The humans were no longer the underdogs in this fight. "They're holding," Ramirez said, her voice tinged with awe. "I thought they would break by now." "They're stronger than they look," Jackson muttered. "And they won't give up. Neither will we." In the midst of the chaos, a signal from the edge of the battlefield caught Jackson's attention. It was faint, barely audible through the noise of the battle, but it was there. The human fleet had received an unexpected reinforcement. "Captain," one of the communications officers said, looking at the screen, "we've got an unidentified signal coming in. It's coming from the homeworld." Jackson's heart skipped a beat. Reinforcements? How could that be? He turned to his crew. "Prepare for the unknown. If this is what I think it is, we might be about to turn the tables even further." The signal was growing stronger, and as Jackson stared at the screen, he saw something that left him both relieved and terrified. Earth's fleet had always been more than just ships. It was the people, the spirit of humanity, that made it unstoppable. And now, it seemed, Earth was sending something else, a force the aliens had never seen before. As the battle raged on, the humans knew that the aliens had only just begun to realize the depth of their mistake. They had laughed at Earth's fleet, underestimated humanity's strength. But now, the tables were turning. and the aliens had no idea just how much worse things were about to get. The chaos in space grew even more intense as the battle reached its peak. Earth's fleet, with the Endurance at its heart, had been fighting tirelessly, and yet the aliens still pushed forward. The once gleaming ships of the alien armada, now scared from battle, were relentless in their pursuit of dominance. But the human fleet, though battered, was not retreating. If anything, they were pushing harder. Captain Jackson stood at the command center of the Endurance, eyes fixed on the tactical display. The alien fleet had regrouped and launched a new offensive, seemingly stronger than before. But Jackson knew better. He had seen the patterns in their tactics. He could predict their next move. And that was what made the difference. "Lieutenant Ramirez," Jackson called out, his voice calm but firm. "How many of them are left?" Ramirez quickly scanned the data. "We've taken down at least a quarter of their ships. But they're regrouping. There are still a few more that we have to deal with." "Good," Jackson replied, turning to face the crew. "Now we strike. We use everything we've got. This ends today." On the bridge of the Endurance, the crew was working at full speed, keeping up with the relentless pace of the battle. The alien ships were more advanced than Earth's, but the humans had one advantage: their determination. The alien fleets relied on their technology, but the humans relied on their will to fight for survival. "We've got one shot at this," Jackson said, leaning over the control panel. "If we don't take out their flagship, we won't survive this battle. Once we do that, the rest will follow. We've studied their formations. They can't fight without their leadership." The tension in the air was thick, and every crew member felt it. This was it, the turning point. If they failed, the galaxy would fall to the aliens. But if they succeeded, humanity would secure its place in the galaxy as a force no one could ignore. "We're approaching their flagship now," Ramirez said, her voice focused. "Ready the weapons. Prepare for full assault." Jackson nodded, his face grim. He turned to the ship's weapons officer. "Launch everything. Give them everything we've got." As the crew went to work, the Endurance launched a devastating barrage of missiles, laser fire, and pulse cannons. The alien flagship, once thought to be invulnerable, began to shudder under the force of humanity's wrath. The alien commanders, watching from their command center, began to panic. "Retreat! Retreat!" One of the alien generals shouted. "We can't win this. They've figured us out. They've outsmarted us." But it was too late. The aliens had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, to turn the tide in the most dire of situations. The human fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Every ship, every crew member, every weapon was working together in a symphony of destruction, relentlessly tearing through the alien forces. As the alien flagship began to crumble, Jackson and his crew knew the battle was almost won. But there was one more piece to take care of. The remaining alien ships had begun to retreat, but they were trying to regroup and escape. "We can't let them get away," Jackson said, turning to his communications officer. "I want every remaining alien ship locked onto. We can't let them warn their forces or escape to fight another day." With a series of commands, the human fleet locked their weapons onto the retreating alien ships. The final assault had begun. Missiles shot out in rapid succession, striking the alien ships with deadly precision. One by one, the alien vessels exploded into fiery fragments as humanity's fleet relentlessly pursued their enemies. It was a sight to behold, an unmistakable show of Earth's power, a power that was not to be underestimated. On the bridge of the Endurance, the crew stood in silence as the battle came to its conclusion. The alien forces were no more. The human fleet had emerged victorious, and with that victory came an incredible shift in the balance of power within the galaxy. The aliens had laughed at humanity's fleet, seeing it as little more than an ancient relic. But now, they had learned a hard truth. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. "We did it," Ramirez said quietly, a smile slowly spreading across her face. Jackson nodded, but his expression remained somber. Yes, we did. But this is just the beginning. The aftermath of the battle left humanity with more questions than answers. They had won, but they had only scratched the surface of what lay ahead. The galaxy was full of unknowns, full of challenges they had yet to face. What would the other alien factions think of Earth now? Would they come seeking revenge, or would they try to form an alliance with humanity, recognizing its power? "What do we do now, Captain?" Ramirez asked, breaking Jackson from his thoughts. "We prepare," Jackson replied. "We've proven our strength, but we've only just begun to understand what the galaxy holds. There will be more challenges, more enemies, but we won't be caught off guard again. The galaxy will know who we are now. They'll know what we're capable of." And as the crew of the Endurance looked out into the vastness of space, they knew that Earth's place in the galaxy had changed forever. They had survived the impossible, and now humanity was ready for whatever came next. The remnants of the alien fleet scattered like broken stars across the void of space, leaving the Endurance and its fleet standing alone. The once mighty alien warships, once symbols of unstoppable power, now drifted in silence, floating in the aftermath of their defeat. The crew of the Endurance couldn't believe their eyes as the last of the alien ships burned up in space. The battle was over, but the true cost of their victory was beginning to settle in. Captain Jackson stood at the helm, his mind racing with the consequences of their triumph. While the victory was a decisive one, it felt like a mere prelude to something even greater. The galaxy had been watching, and now that Earth had made its mark, the true challenges would begin. Would the alien factions come to their aid, or would they come to challenge humanity's newfound strength? The galaxy was vast, and the Endurance had only scratched the surface. Jackson knew that Earth could no longer afford to hide in the shadows. The galaxy had seen them, and now they would have to stand as a force among the stars. Earth's fleet had proven its power, but the question that remained was, would the galaxy see them as a new threat or a potential ally? As the crew began to assess the aftermath of the battle, Lieutenant Ramirez walked up to Jackson, her face serious. "Captain, we've got a transmission coming in. It's from the Galactic Council." Jackson's expression tightened. The Galactic Council, the group that had once mocked Earth's ability to defend itself, the group that had called humanity weak, now wanted to speak with him. He couldn't help but wonder if they were coming to offer congratulations or to condemn humanity's rise to power. "Patch it through," Jackson ordered, his voice steady. A few moments later, a hologram flickered to life in front of them, displaying the face of an alien diplomat. The diplomat's expression was one of disbelief, as though he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Captain Jackson, we never expected this." Jackson didn't respond right away. He was still processing the weight of the situation, still coming to terms with the reality of their victory. Finally, he spoke, his tone cold but firm. "What is it that you want, Ambassador?" The alien diplomat seemed to hesitate before responding. "We've come to request peace talks. We understand that Earth has proven its strength in a way we did not anticipate. We are prepared to offer you a seat at the table, Captain. The Galactic Council wishes to negotiate terms." The word sent a shock through the crew of the Endurance. Peace talks. They had just defeated the most powerful alien armada ever assembled, and now the very same species were requesting peace. The arrogance of the alien diplomats was astonishing, but beneath the surface of his surprise, Captain Jackson felt something else, an undeniable sense of pride. "This is not about peace," Jackson said, his voice firm. "You mocked us, tried to wipe us out. Now you want peace because you see what we're capable of. That's not how this works." The diplomat shifted, his expression turning more defensive. "We were wrong to underestimate Earth's potential. We understand that now, and we are prepared to negotiate terms. Humanity is now a significant power in the galaxy. We can no longer ignore you." Jackson's gaze never wavered. "I've got one thing to say to you, Enter Council. Humanity didn't need your permission to defend itself, and we don't need your approval to exist. You underestimated us once, and now you're here begging for peace. Earth has shown that it's not something to be dismissed. The diplomat's eyes narrowed, but he didn't argue. Then, what do you want, Captain? Jackson stood taller, his voice full of authority. We want respect. We want equality. And most of all, we want freedom. No more meddling, no more interference. Humanity will stand on its own, and we will decide our fate. There was a moment of silence. Jackson's words hung in the air like an unspoken challenge. The alien diplomat, his demeanor faltering, nodded slowly. We will report your demands to the Council. But be warned, Captain, this is only the beginning. Others will come. Let them come, Jackson replied with confidence. We will be ready. After the transmission ended, Jackson stood quietly on the bridge, staring out into the dark expanse of space. His crew had won an impossible battle, but now the real challenge began. Earth had earned a place in the galaxy, but would that place be one of peace or war? Would other alien factions seek to challenge humanity's strength? Or would they recognize Earth as a new power, one worthy of respect? Lieutenant Ramirez came up beside him, her voice full of quiet concern. Captain, are we ready for what's coming? For the galaxy that's out there. Jackson turned to her, a faint smile crossing his face. We don't have a choice, Lieutenant. We've made our mark. The galaxy will either fear us or they'll respect us. But either way, they'll know that Earth is not to be underestimated. And as the Endurance drifted through the stars, Jackson couldn't shake the feeling that the road ahead would be long and treacherous. But for the first time, Earth was no longer just a speck in the vastness of space. Humanity had proven itself, and now, the galaxy would have to reckon with them. The silence that followed the Galactic Council's transmission felt almost unbearable. Captain Jackson stood at the helm of the Endurance, his hands gripping the rail as he stared out at the vast expanse of space. The stars twinkled before him like distant beacons of hope and danger, symbols of the unknown future that lay ahead for Earth. Captain, you're needed in the briefing room. Lieutenant Ramirez's voice broke through the tension. She stepped forward, her face grim, yet resolute. The Council is preparing to send a representative. They want to discuss our terms for peace. Jackson exhaled slowly. He had been expecting this. The diplomat's request for peace was nothing more than a ploy to buy time, to stall Earth's inevitable rise to power. But what if they were serious? What if the galaxy was ready to recognize humanity's strength, not as a threat, but as an equal? We'll be there, Jackson replied firmly. The briefing room was already filled when Jackson arrived. Commander Harris was analyzing the data on a holographic display, while Lieutenant Ramirez reviewed their fleet's readiness. It was clear they were preparing for something monumental, but what exactly? Captain, Harris greeted him with a nod. We've just received intel from some of the outlying sectors. It's not just the Galactic Council we need to worry about. Other factions are watching closely. They know what happened at the Battle of Otoris, and they're not happy. Jackson's mind raced. The battle had been brutal, yes, but it had also sent a clear message. Earth wasn't just a backwater planet anymore. The Endurance had decimated an entire alien fleet, and now the galaxy was taking notice. He couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. But there was no time for pride now. So, we're about to meet with the Galactic Council, Jackson said, his voice low. But I have a feeling that meeting won't be as easy as they think. There are factions out there that won't settle for peace. We need to be ready for anything. Lieutenant Ramirez nodded. The fleet is ready, Captain. But there's something else we need to consider. What do we do if they try to force our hand? If they see our strength as a threat? Jackson looked at her, his expression unwavering. If they force our hand, then we fight. But we won't start the war. Not unless we have no other choice. Before anyone could respond, the lights in the room flickered, signaling the arrival of the transmission. The holographic screen in the center of the room came to life, displaying the same alien diplomat they had spoken to earlier. "This is Captain Jackson," the diplomat began, his voice more formal this time. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally invite you to negotiate the terms of peace." There was a long pause. Jackson studied the diplomat's face. He knew these creatures too well by now. They had mocked Earth, underestimated humanity's resolve. Now, they wanted peace, but Jackson wasn't ready to simply accept their offer. "The terms are simple," Jackson said, his voice calm but steady. "We want respect, equality, and we want no more interference in our affairs." The diplomat seemed to hesitate, then nodded slowly. "We understand, Captain. But there are other factions in the galaxy. It will not be as agreeable. You may have defeated our fleet, but your victory has sparked something far bigger." Jackson raised an eyebrow. "What are you saying?" The diplomat's expression grew darker. "Your victory has made you a target. Not just for the Council, but for other factions who see your rise as a threat to their power. You've become a symbol, Captain. And symbols are dangerous." The words hit Jackson like a punch to the gut. The diplomat was right. Humanity had become a symbol of power, resilience, and defiance. But symbols also attracted enemies. The galaxy was a vast, dangerous place, and Earth was now a shining beacon in the darkness. Would they be embraced by the galaxy's powers, or would they be targeted for elimination? "Then we'll deal with them," Jackson said, his voice firm. "We won't back down. Earth doesn't bow to anyone." The diplomat's face softened slightly, as though he understood the weight of Jackson's words. "You're not alone, Captain. There are factions in the galaxy that believe in freedom. They may not all support you, but they will respect your resolve." The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence in the room. Jackson's heart pounded in his chest. He had known that Earth's rise would have consequences, but hearing the diplomat's warning drove home the reality of what they had just started. Earth was no longer just a quiet world in the corner of the galaxy. They were now a force to be reckoned with. Commander Harris broke the silence. "Captain, we've just received an encrypted message. It's from the Andromeda Coalition." Jackson's eyes narrowed. The Andromeda Coalition was one of the galaxy's most powerful factions. They had been neutral in the past, but now they were getting involved. "What do they want?" Jackson asked. "They want to meet," Harris replied. "And they want to discuss an alliance. They've seen the potential in Earth's military power, and they want to offer their support." The room fell quiet. The Andromeda Coalition, an ally, or another group trying to use Earth for their own gain. "We'll hear them out," Jackson said. "But we'll play this carefully. No one gets to manipulate us. Not now. Not ever." The Endurance drifted slowly toward the designated meeting location in the heart of the Andromeda Coalition's fleet. Captain Jackson stood at the bridge, staring at the vast expanse of stars outside. The stars felt closer now, almost as if they were within reach, and yet he couldn't shake the tension coiling in his chest. This was more than just a meeting. This was the moment that would define Earth's future in the galaxy. "Captain, the Andromeda fleet is locking in on our coordinates," Lieutenant Ramirez reported. "Their ships are preparing to move into formation." Jackson nodded, his mind racing. The Coalition's fleet was formidable, far larger than the combined force Earth had at its disposal. Yet that didn't matter to him anymore. Earth was no longer the helpless planet it once was. Humanity had proven its strength. Now they needed to prove their resolve. The crew waited in tense silence. The days of pleading for peace, of fearing other factions, were over. Humanity had fought for its place in the galaxy. Now, they would decide their own fate. "Captain, we've just received a direct communication from the Andromeda representative," Commander Harris said, his voice grave. "They're asking to speak with you alone. They claim they have important matters to discuss." Jackson's heart beat faster. The Andromeda Coalition had a reputation for being both powerful and strategic. If they were asking for a private meeting, It could be a sign of a serious negotiation or a trap. He had no intention of walking into it blindly. "Patch the communication through," Jackson ordered. A holographic image of a tall alien appeared in front of him. Its face was a perfect blend of sharp features and elegance, its skin a translucent blue. Its eyes glowed with a pale light, emanating an air of authority. This was Kalar, the High Counselor of the Andromeda Coalition. "Captain Jackson," Kalar said, his voice smooth, yet laced with an undertone of something that Jackson couldn't quite place. "I trust you're aware of the situation at hand." "I am," Jackson replied, his voice steady. "What's your proposition?" Kalar's eyes glinted, and for a brief moment, Jackson could see something flicker within them, a kind of calculation. "You've proven yourself, Captain. You've defeated the Galactic Council's fleet. You've shocked the galaxy. But that victory has consequences, as you already know. The galaxy does not take kindly to a single power rising so quickly." Jackson stood tall. He knew where this was going. Kalar was trying to get him to back down, to question the choice humanity had made. But there would be no turning back now. "And what exactly do you want from us?" Jackson asked, his voice firm. "I want to offer you a choice," Kalar said, his voice now laced with something colder. "Join us, Captain. Align with the Andromeda Coalition, and we can offer you protection, resources, and allies. We will shield Earth from the wrath of the other galactic factions, but you must agree to a new set of terms. Your fleet, your power, must be placed under our command. You will remain autonomous, yes, but we will be the ones calling the shots in certain matters." Jackson's brow furrowed. This was the offer they had expected, an attempt to control Earth's future. Kalar was offering protection, but at a price. Humanity would have to answer to the Andromeda Coalition, bowing to their authority in exchange for survival. "There's just one problem with that, Kalar," Jackson said, his tone unwavering. "Earth doesn't bow to anyone. We fought for this freedom, and we'll die defending it. No one will control us. Not the Council, not you, not anyone." Kalar's expression hardened. He had clearly underestimated humanity's resolve. The High Counselor stood still for a moment, as if weighing Jackson's words. The silence between them stretched long, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was filled with the raw energy of the decision at hand. "You refuse our offer." Kalar's voice was cold now, stripped of its earlier smoothness. "We refuse to be controlled," Jackson said firmly. "We'll defend Earth and its sovereignty with everything we have. We're not asking for allies, Kalar. We're making a statement. If you want to fight us, then bring it on." The tension in the air thickened. Kalar's eyes narrowed. "So, you're prepared to fight the galaxy? Do you think you can win against the combined forces of all the factions that oppose you?" Jackson met Kalar's gaze head-on. "It's not about winning, Kalar. It's about survival. And Earth's survival means no one gets to take us down." There was a long pause, and for the first time, Kalar seemed to truly consider Jackson's words. "You are a brave man, Captain. But be warned, your defiance will have consequences. The galaxy will not forget your actions today." "Then let the galaxy remember us," Jackson replied. "We'll never forget who we are. And no matter what happens, we will not back down." As the transmission cut off, Jackson turned to his crew. The faces of his officers and soldiers were filled with determination, a unity that could not be shaken. They had made their decision, and there was no going back. "Captain, the Andromeda fleet is in position," Ramirez reported. "We're ready for anything." Jackson nodded, his jaw set. "Good. Prepare the fleet. We stand together, and we'll show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." The sound of footsteps echoed in the halls of the Endurance. Each step resonated with the weight of the decision made, and as the crew went to their stations, Jackson knew one thing for sure. Humanity was no longer a small, insignificant species in the eyes of the galaxy. They had become a force to be reckoned with. And this was just the beginning.